Good afternoon, everybody. I think we'll get started as we've got a full day when we want to kind of keep on track with our time. So welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our session today, What's Working in Today's Environment and Where to From Here. My name is Shantel Lautenbright, and I am with the City of Medicine Hat, and I'm lucky enough to be one of the members of this intergenerational community of practice. Some of our other group members who are on the call with us today are Betty Good from Linkages in Calgary. We also have Julie Friesen with the Government of Alberta. We have Charlene Fletcher, who is with the libraries. Oh, great. Our list is right up there. That's excellent. Rebecca Zazula, and also Jody Wood. And on behalf of our group, we'd like to welcome everyone. My colleague, Cindy Wing, is also on here as our technical and team support behind the scenes today. So if you're having any technical concerns, feel free to private message Cindy, and she'll be able to kind of help you through the chat to get those things sorted out. As well, if you haven't already had the chance to do so, please make sure that you type in the chat room your name and what organization you're from, and maybe even what community you're with, just so that we know who's all in the room with us today, and we can kind of start to build our community in that way. We'd also like to do a land acknowledgement. So to begin, we are fortunate for the opportunity to come together today in this virtual community space, and we're doing so from all across the province. In the spirit of our journey to promote reconciliation, I would like to honor the truth of the shared history and acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, Mohkinstsis, also known as Calgary, which is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Also, to make sure that everybody is comfortable, we would like to go through a few housekeeping items. So we've set this up to offer interactivity so that everybody's able to mute and unmute yourself using the buttons at the bottom. So feel free to turn your video on if you're able to, and then we're able to make sure that we can kind of see one another, and it helps us to feel a bit more connected and to know that others are in the room with us, because in this virtual setting, sometimes that can be really challenging. It feels like you're just speaking to a computer. You're also welcome to use the chat box to make comments, share resources, as well as to, again, build our community and have those discussions. If it's something important or you want to add to the contribution of the discussion, but you don't want to interrupt or anything, please feel free to also include those items in the chat box as well. Today's session is being recorded, and you'll see that there is the little recording button up in the corner showing that. And a recording of this link will be shared later via the email and on the Core Alberta platform after the session. That's all that I have for housekeeping at this time and for introductions. So now I'd like to hand it over to my teammate, Rebecca, to be able to introduce our next portion of the session. Rebecca?
Thanks for that. So we're going to be doing a fun activity now. So this is an example of one of the activities that we do with our intergenerational programming. It's a great way to initiate conversation, and sometimes the kids are a little bit awkward. They don't really know what to talk about. So it's a great lead in where they have ideas on what to talk about. And then if the conversation sparks from there, it just flows naturally, or they can just keep continuing with the questions. So for example, it's a have you ever. So on your screen, it's the green and yellow one. And so I'll play the role of the student, and you guys would be the role of the seniors. So you can raise your hand, or if you want to unmute, you can say yes. If you've done the thing I'm going to ask a question about. So for example, have you ever ridden in a limousine? So you would say yes or raise your hand. And then some of the kids don't even know what a limousine is. So then that could lead to a discussion about that. Oh, we got some hands up. Woohoo! Have you ever been to Europe? So some of our seniors have traveled for pleasure. Some of them have been in wars. And so that also opens up a whole nother conversation. Oh, we've got lots of hands up for this one. Lots of us seem to like traveling. Okay. Have you ever been in an earthquake? Oh, one person. 2, 3. Oh, we got a few. I know I was in one and didn't even know. I thought I was just being my clumsy old self and fell going upstairs. So yeah, that can also be conversation. Okay, how about, have you ever gone berry picking? Let's see. Oh, most of us. Do we have a favorite berry? Anybody want to shout out? I like Saskatoons. Those are my favorite. Oh, I'm seeing some nodding. Okay. Have you ever broken a bone? Oh, wow. Lots of us are accident prone. Okay. Have you ever tried to cut your own hair? This may have increased during the pandemic. Oh, yes. Wow. Most of us. I think all the hands are up now. Okay. Have you ever been trapped in an elevator? I think that's a big fear for a lot of people. Oh, we've got some. Holy, some of us have quite the life experience. Okay. Have you ever been to a circus? Yeah. So I know my older kids have been to circuses that had animals, and my younger kids haven't because they banned the animals being in the circus. So they have very different circus experiences. What about, have you ever baked bread from scratch? Oh, quite a few people. I know some of the kids too, they don't even know what the students in our program, they'd be like, what does from scratch mean? So, oh yeah, bread maker, does the bread maker count? I think it does because that's what I use. I can do it the other way, but that's so much easier. Let's see. Have you ever lived in another country? Oh, we got a couple. What other country? Now I'm curious. Anybody gonna type in the chat? Okay, let's see what's another one. And you can make up any questions you want, and you can change it to did you ever's, or you can be like, would you rather do this or this? Like my kids really like the would you rather. The one of the question they said, would you rather have fingers as long as toe, or yeah, how did they put it? Legs as long as fingers, or toes as, like, it was something really weird. And it was like, you're either having little tiny stumpy legs or you're having really long, crazy fingers. Like it was just strange. But they really like the this or that ones where they have to pick between two very strange things, because that opens up all sorts of weird discussions too. Let's try one more. Have you ever run to save your life? Oh, we've got some. I think some people that do hunting and stuff would have probably done that more if they encounter a bear or something. Or maybe some of the hikers when there's cougars stalking on the hills and whatnot. Anyone care to elaborate? Oh, someone was in China. Oh, and Africa. Don't run if you see a bear. I know you're not supposed to, but I think I would want to. But yeah, so that's an example of one of the games that you can play that helps open up conversations. You can have it written on a full sheet where they can go through. I don't know if you can see me in the chat over there, like that. Or you can just have little like cards made up that look like a deck of cards, and they can just flip through them that way. Sometimes the kids will speed read through them just to get through the cards, and then they actually go play a card game or something else. Other times it just opens up great conversation, but either way, it's a good time. So I just want to say thanks for participating. It was fun. We'll hand it off to Holly.
All right, Rebecca, I think that's me first because I'm going to introduce Holly, and that was great. I really enjoyed that, Rebecca. That was really good, and some of the other resources you put up were helpful. They're so insightful. They're simple, but they're so insightful in terms of generating conversation. So really appreciated that. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay, I've got the PowerPoint up, so I can't see if Holly's video was on or not, but I would like to introduce all of you to Holly Studnicki. Holly's a longtime community builder in Medicine Hat. I've known Holly for many years, and I've known her as a strong leader with immense energy and passion for people. She has a special way, a very special way actually, of making meaningful connections And that's such a gift. I just as a sidebar, she's really good at raising money too, but we're not talking about that today. Holly spent many years as the executive director of United Way of Southeastern Alberta. So you can imagine the scope of those responsibilities and the connection she made there. And from there, she moved to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Medicine Hat District, where she still is. And Holly's constantly, in my observation anyway, she's constantly in the process of transforming the organization to meet the future needs of bigs and littles of all ages. So Holly, I'd like to welcome you, and we look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you, Julie, for all those kind words. That was very nice of you. And I thought that was lots of fun too, Rebecca. We've used that card in group programming for our littles to get to know each other pre-COVID. They could get together in a group and then ask each other questions and then play bingo, like mark off the cards into like a line or whatever. So definitely generated communication amongst our littles as well. And I'm happy to say I recognize a couple of smiling faces. Hi, Tracy. Tracy is with Big Brothers Big Sisters and Boys and Girls Club in Edmonton. So I know Tracy Lockhart very well. And Shantel, nice to see you. I won't be very long. I just wanted to give a little overview of Big Brothers Big Sisters, some of the programs that we offer here in Medicine Hat. I think that everybody is fairly familiar with our main program. The one that we're most known for is our traditional mentoring program. And that is where we match caring adults with children between the ages of 6 and 16. And the big or the mentor will go and pick the little up at their home and take them out into the community for new experiences. So as their relationship builds and grows, the child, we just see the child really blossom. And if they had self-esteem issues, we see those fall away, and we see them just engage more with family members and such. So that traditional program, I think everybody is familiar with. If you know anything about Big Brothers and Big Sisters, that's probably where your mindset first goes to. However, children are not little round pegs that fit in little round holes. So we have to have a variety of programs to meet children where they're at. And so the next program that we have is called our in-school mentoring program. And that is very similar to our traditional. A caring adult will go and meet the little, but they're going to spend 1 hour on the premises at the child's school. So they cannot leave the school premises, and they can do whatever they want for that hour. They're limited only by their imagination. And we've got some mentors that are extremely creative, and they pot plants together with their little. They can bake items if there's a kitchen available to them. They go and shoot hoops in the gym or go kick a soccer ball out in the playground, weather permitting. And they just spend that hour building friendship. We don't really we don't focus it around curricular activities, but of course, if the little has got an exam coming up and would like to study, it would be the same as any of us. We'd like to study with our friend. And so of course they would do that with their little. So that's our in-school mentoring program. And that typically starts up in about October and goes right to the end of the year. And they meet 1 hour per week. So if it's Tuesday at 2, it's every Tuesday at 2. So that's our in-school mentoring program. And then we have several group programs as well. Our girls-specific program is called Go Girls, and it targets grade 6 girls for our community. And we speak to those girls about fitness, nutrition, body image, bullying and being bullied, and what it means to be a good friend and what that looks like. And then we've also had to incorporate eating disorders here in Medicine Hat. So we've incorporated that into our program here. And that is delivered in a group setting at the schools, at the elementary schools. So those girls will be recommended either by faculty of the school, or there's a number of different ways we'll be invited into the school to provide that program. We've had the wonderful opportunity to have our second-year nursing students from the Medicine Hat College provide that program on our behalf as their clinical or their second-year practicum. So it's worked out really well because the girls are really comfortable with the nursing students and feel like they can ask anything, and the program goes really well. The program runs for 8 weeks each time. Then we have that exact same program only for boys. We target the grade 7 boys, and that program is called Game On. And again, we talk about nutrition, fitness, outside of the regular rough and tumbly things that boys would do at school. What else could they do at home to stay fit? You know, run, ride a bike, you know, kick a soccer ball around on their own, those types of things. And then the importance of peer pressure and being a good friend and those kinds of things. It's a little different where we talk to the girls about their bullying and issues that might affect girls. We talk about peer pressure and the things that might affect boys. That program runs as often as we can. Again, it's site-based, so it's at the school, and it runs for 8 weeks as well, and it's delivered by male volunteers. So the other program that we have is teen mentoring, and this one's lots of fun. This one has really grown and taken off quite a bit in our community. So we have high school conscientious, high school grade 11, 12s that will walk over to the neighboring elementary school and mentor the littles in a group setting. So they'll be matched one-to-one within a group, and then our mentoring coordinators, our employees, will actually run that group. So they'll provide the craft or the task that they're going to do together for that day, and they oversee it all, and that creates lots of fun. The littles really love having a teenager for a BFF. They talk about it all the time. And I've witnessed, you know, where the teens have been, maybe they're always there ahead of the littles. So they're at the elementary school, maybe we're waiting to get into the library if that's our designated spot. And the children will see their teens waiting outside the door from down the hall and run the whole length of the hallway just to jump into their arms. They're so excited to see their teens. So of course, all of these group programs have been put on hold due to COVID. Our in-school mentoring and our Go Girls, we're actually starting up Go Girls in the Catholic school system here in Medicine Hat, and we are doing our in-school. We've been invited back into the in-school for the in-school mentoring in the school districts as well, seen as an essential service for children. So the newest program, which I'm really excited about, which I hope will interest this group, is our Intergenerational Program. So there have been a few Big Brothers Big Sisters who have tested the program, and it's come back with rave reviews. So we would like to try it in Medicine Hat. We have a fairly high population of 55 plus age category, and I fit in that as well. And so what we'd like to do is, we find that 55 plus age category typically potentially have more time on their hands during the school hours. So we would like to get them together in a group setting, school-based again, where they can mentor littles one-to-one, very similar to the teen mentoring program, where they'll be matched one-to-one within a group, and then the group will be led by our mentoring coordinator. So we'll provide a craft or an activity or something that the senior and the little can do together, and then we just watch the learning unfold. Sometimes it's the mentor that learns something, and sometimes it's the little. So we're really excited to get that program up and running. Right now, with the restrictions, we've done a little bit of research and found that homeschooled children are allowed to come to our site. A small number of them, I think it's less than 10. So we're looking at maybe doing a site program here at our new location in Medicine Hat, and trying out our intergenerational program here before we really roll it out next fall in all of the schools. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And, you know, thank you so much, Holly, that you have so much going at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we were really curious to know how you were continuing to offer programs during COVID and what that looked like, and what was happening in the future. So I am hoping rather, there are some questions for Holly about, well, anything, but, you know, how's it going? What can it mean to you? Some ideas you might have that she could share and so on. So I don't know who wants to go first, but we'd sure like to hear from some of you.
Hi, Holly. It's Carolyn from Northeast Central Zone. I have a question about how you match them. Is it done through sort of a survey and based on interests, based on differences, random? How are they matched together?
That is a really important question, Carolyn. So we take an application from both the mentor and the little. So typically parent or guardian will submit the application for the little. And right in that application, we have an interest finder, and we list a whole bunch of different things that they can check off, things that they do already that they'd like to continue, or something that they'd like to be taught or learn something new. And we'll do that for little and for the mentor. So it's extremely relevant, that question, because there's no point in our mind of matching if the child is really computer focused and really likes their games and those types of things, to match them with a mentor who wants to go hiking and mountain climbing and do all those things. The match just really won't ever gel, and it really won't last that long. Rather, we'd sooner match that little with somebody who has this common interest. So an example would be, we had an in-school mentor who had an IT business here in town. And one of our littles was really interested in computers, and really all he did was play Fortnite and all of those games that we're so familiar with. So his mentor showed him how to take a computer apart and put it back together again. They actually did a little bit of programming, and between the two of them, they developed a very simple game to play online together. And so that was huge. The little was just thrilled, and you never know what that little's going to go on to be later in life. So really important that we match properly.
Good,
Oh,
thanks.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Carolyn. Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you. There's one in the chat box from Tammy as well. I'll just read it, Tammy, unless you want to verbalize it. Tammy's wondering if there would be some guidance between big brothers and sisters to start such programs in another area.
So just so I'm understanding the question, so we're in Medicine Hat, and you're wondering if which program, the intergenerational program?
Tammy, if you want to turn your mic on and just and
Fire
clarify
away.
your own question, that'd be great.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, just like between the intergenerational, we actually, I'm from Rocky Mountain House, and we've been talking about starting kind of almost a gardening mentoring program, and with seniors, and maybe involving the big brothers or big sisters organization in here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see if we can pair some seniors with some lower income families, right? To harvest and preserve, grow, first of all, grow, then, what do we do with all these vegetables, and how do we keep them and freeze them and can them? And so I was just wondering if, like, not specifically a program, but if like any programs intergenerational, if there's kind of like a template, that.
Do you know what I'm going to recommend, Tammy? And I'd recommend this for anyone who's interested in finding out more about mentoring. We are partners with the Alberta Mentoring Program. And if you Google that, there are toolkits galore on that website. And you don't have to recreate the wheel, Tammy. There's all sorts of wonderful information. As I said, there's toolkits. You could do really take one of those toolkits and change it up to suit what you want to do. So I think there might be some intergenerational on there. I honestly haven't had the opportunity to go on there in a few weeks now, but I'm certain if you went there, you would be able to find a wealth of information and toolkits that are readily available to you on the Alberta Mentoring Partnership website.
Perfect. Thank you. It's just kind of in the idea phase. So
Yeah.
I was just,
This is
we connect with seniors and which is easy for us, but then to connect to the families, it's, there's privacy and all that business. So
Right. And those toolkits will help you to figure out how to maneuver those
perfect. Thank you.
pieces as well.
And Tammy, this is Michelle Sharp. I'm a recreation therapy practice lead in Central Zone and for AHS. And there is a number of different programs that was offered last summer. And it sounds like they do have a toolkit that they had done for a garden program that they did last year. One was in Innisfil and one was a supported living facility that was in Red Deer as well. So if you want to put your name in that chat box or your email, I could connect you with those two organizers so that they could share some more information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for that, Michelle. This is really good because we're, with this community of practice, we're wanting you to talk to each other. We want you to talk to us too, but talk to each other and take advantage of each other's experiences. It's a marvelous opportunity. You can use the CORE website to find out how you can connect with others, their information. And Holly has put the link for the Alberta Mentoring Partnership in the chat box as well. So if you just highlight that and you can copy it, then you can paste it for yourself later on. And there's Tammy's email as well. So this is great. Just quickly before we end this segment, and it's been really good, maybe we've got time for one, possibly two more questions.
And I was just going to maybe ask, so if we wanted to share more information, who would I send an email to so that the rest of the participants on today's session could get that information as well? And I also know that the Innisfil Connects program, the dementia-friendly community that they have been doing in Innisfil, that's been really successful. They're going to have more information on the CORE website as well.
Thanks for that, Michelle. I think I'm going to ask Cindy from CORE if she would just step in here. It's a great time, Cindy, for you to do your little thing about CORE, and you can answer that question about how we can even get more information and resources on that site so everyone else can share them.
Yeah, for sure. I was in the middle of typing everything, so let me just send that. So the CORE Alberta website link is in the chat box now. So even without like a membership, you have the opportunity to just access a lot of resources, training opportunities, and events on the platform. But if you create a free membership, you can join this group online, and we have a space where we can share resources, connect with one another, that sort of thing, and build this community of practice a little bit more and just grow together and continue these conversations. And yeah, with your membership, you can also post your own resources and events that you would like to share with the wider sector. So if you have any questions with that, I'll also leave my email in the chat box, and then I can just walk you through if you're exploring the CORE platform site and you would like to know more about it.
That's great, Cindy. Thank you so much. And Tracy had to leave us. Thanks for coming, Tracy, very much. Yeah, we've got 1 minute. Is there a last question for Holly before we move on? Okay, I guess not at this point in time, Holly. I would really like to thank you for sharing lots to learn from you today. And it's been a pleasure to have you on our site with us. Please stay for the rest of the time if you want. I mean, if you have to go and deal with other things, we understand, but thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. It's been a pleasure. So what we have planned here for about 10, bordering 15 minutes, we thought we would have a conversation between us, all of us present, hopefully not as much from our team as from the rest of you. And we wanted to talk a little bit, we're thinking about our presence on the core site, wanting to make sure it adds value to you, that there's benefit in being a part of it. We want to understand how we can support you as you move forward with your ideas, it might be projects, it might be initiatives, it just might be in some thinking or wanting resources or whatever you need. So we have a few discussion topics we wanted to pursue for the next short while. And I'd really encourage you to you don't have to put up your hand, you can just speak out. And if you can do that, or you can put your hand up if you want. And we'll just, there's sort of 3 topics we're going to talk about here. And the first one is that we, as our team has been wondering this, how can we support you in the best way we can to advance some of your ideas and plans? Like, what do you need from us in terms, and us, meaning the core, our little team here, how can we best support you? What would that support be? What would it look like? So really interested to hear from all of you about what we can do for you that would be a real support. So I know you all have ideas, and it would be great if you could share a few. And we'll capture the chat box as well. So either way. Oh, gee, I might have to pick on somebody if I don't hear anything. Vivian, for some reason, your picture is the first on my screen here. Oh, just a minute, I've got Carol Lynn too. But now that I'm picking on Vivian, I'll carry it through. Your picture comes first on my screen. So I thought, well, I'll ask you what you think. And in terms of support from our team, what could we do to give you the best support you can have, or the best information or resources or whatever you need? No, maybe Vivian's muted. Okay, I'll go to Carol Lynn. Carol Lynn, do you want to just speak up and tell us what you've got in the chat box?
I'm just wondering if there's a resource bank of information about grants, particularly upcoming, that support the intergenerational programming. Sometimes, even though you're doing the programming in partnership with others, there's not always the dollars that are needed to get some of this started, and it doesn't always have to be a whole lot.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's always a struggle, isn't it? So can you, I don't know if anyone else wants to give some information here on that, but this is the kind of thing we need to hear, Carol Lynn, so that we can start to try to put together, like target the kind of resources that you need. So I'm hoping anyone else who has access to some of that information will say something. But leave that with us. We will we're going to copy this chat box rather, and then we will try to seize the opportunity to put together more information and resources based on what needs you express. So thank you for saying that. I don't have all the answers for you right now, but we will seek to find more information for you. Make sure it's posted on the site. And again, I'd like to take the opportunity to encourage all of you to talk to each other too. Doesn't always have to be through us. On the site, it gives you the advantage of talking to each other. And man, it's so helpful to share experiences and knowledge. And look what happened in the last few minutes about the different programs in Red Deer and Innisfail and Medicine Hat and so on. And all of a sudden they're sharing back and forth in terms of resources in the chat box. So that's fabulous. Anyone else thinking, gee, I'd like some more support in this area, or I'd like some more information or resources about this thing, or I'd like to understand about somebody else's program better. Okay, well, Tammy says, oh, this is nice of you, Tammy, that you have so much information from the group. and support already, and that you love the webinar topics. Thank you very much. As a team, I'm not going to say we struggle, but we strive to think of things that will really be relevant and of value to you. So maybe I will go to the next slide because I think it kind of gets to that. And there it is. So for you, what what value or benefit do you hope to achieve from being part of the community of practice? So you're here for a reason, and you might be here for future reasons. I sure hope you are. So what value or benefit do you hope to achieve from being part of this group?
Hi, it's Sandy from Innisfail.
Okay.
I think for me, it's because I'm newer to my position and my role, and I am the age-friendly facilitator here at Innisfail. And so for me, it's around maybe getting ideas and not reinventing the wheel around intergenerational activities, different conversation starters, things like that. So again, just, looking to other people who have done this much longer, lots more experience, and just kind of gathering that information and sharing what are our struggles and how do we work through them. So.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. Can I just ask you, Sandy, about that since you brought it up? Sharing your struggle. So would it be some benefit to actually do I don't know, a discussion or some kind of maybe a forum or a group of people talking about some struggles and how they overcame them and moved them into opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be really beneficial because then again, when you face a struggle or a barrier, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel and figure out where to go from here. It's more around brainstorming ideas of what have other people already done that have been successful that maybe you haven't thought of, or maybe your neighboring communities. So for me, it's just, like I said, as I'm new into this role, thinking, okay, as we're starting something, maybe it is beneficial that somebody's already battled this and I don't have to do it alone, and that I can pick somebody else's brain who's done that. So that's,
Yeah, thanks for that. That's really, really helpful. I appreciate that. Now, also in the chat, Tammy talked before a little bit, and she's saying that even understanding or knowing more about the financial support out there for seniors that are struggling, contact information that can be provided to seniors who are expressing they have financial concerns. So almost like a little resource bank, and we're starting to build. And thanks for that additional information, Tammy. What about, I'm trying to, oh, Jane, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things it just got me thinking here, we're working on the education, the Elder Awareness Day in June. And we're kind of looking at what we can do in the schools to have our younger people do a project or do something that shows that they're aware of some of the problems that elders may go through. Because we've got a purple flag that we've designed and it's going to be hanging on that day. So they need the information to kind of support it.
Oh, that's interesting. It would be great to see a picture of your purple flag too. So we can...
When it's made, I can put one up.
Oh, could you?
Yep.
Yeah, and also maybe share it on the course site too, so others can see and a little bit of information about what you're doing there. So can you, Jane, can you say a little bit more about that? Like what I'm trying to get at here is, what could we do to help provide something on the site that would really help you with that?
That's what I'm trying to think of. Does anybody have like a little, we show these little videos where things happen, but for some ages of kids, you wouldn't be able to do that. Is there a storybook that kind of goes with it, that we could read a story to the kids and talk about it? I'm just trying to think of what other resources there are. I know for the high school and that, or even grade 7 and up, there's an Ontario program that I can do bits and pieces of so that they can understand it. But it's the younger students that really, I need them to go home and say, look what we found out today. Grandma could be doing this kind of stuff with us.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
I was going to say there, sorry, with being in the libraries, there are, if you go online, you can look up a lot of, about positive aging. And it has stories that tell about relationships between children and their grandparents or children and elders. So if you look at positive aging books, there's quite a few that are really, really good. And you can also tap into your library, as you know, so
yeah,
that they can do that. So there is that information out there for books too.
That's real help.
Yeah, that does help, Charlene. Are there any others of you? I was wondering, Rebecca, you were sharing some resources in your resource bank there. Anything that would be helpful to Jane?
Sorry, it takes a bit for me to get my mouse to work. Honestly, there's so many resources just online that I've downloaded and tried to go, okay, well, we can do this one will work, or you can modify it in certain little ways. Like, and I'm more than willing to email you all sorts of stuff that I have or come up with, because I did teach for 12 years too. So I incorporate a lot of that into my intergenerational stuff, and then like kind of tweak it with some of the stuff that Betty has shared as well. So I think the biggest thing is finding out too, like the kids that you're working with, finding out what they're interested in, and then figuring out ways that you can adapt it that way.
Okay. I was a teacher for 43 years and
nice,
thinking back on some of the stuff, but I know books and stories really do a great job too. So, but that'll be great if you have some things that I could maybe modify or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'll put my email in the chat box.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's great. Anything else, any of the rest of you might have either for Jane, additional help for Jane. I see Charlene's put something in here, and we've got some input from Carolyn and Amber as well, not on this particular thing, but others around value and benefit, some ideas of the future. So this is great. Jane, does that give you a start?
I don't know. Yeah, it does. It gives me actually some good ideas to start with, because I have my first meeting with our small committee at the beginning of next week. So that'll be great.
Oh, okay, thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Our last couple of minutes here, Betty, if you don't mind just going to the next slide. This will probably be quick. But this isn't meant to put you in an uncomfortable situation. What we're asking with this question, which is, what do you think you can contribute to the community of practice, is just a continuation of what you're already doing. So you joined the community of practice, you're coming to our various things, and we're hoping that you help us enlist more people. Like, that's how it grows. Each of you say, hey, I'm on this community of practice. It's pretty good, can you come and join us? That kind of thing. Just wondering, just briefly, before we move on, what do you think you can contribute to the community of practice? And I just want you to know that you are already contributing. Look at everything in the chat box and from all of you so far. So this is not intended to imply that you're not contributing, but can you think of anything else? We really need and want this to be about you, driven by you, and not always by us. We want it to have meaning and benefit, as we've said, and so for any of you, anything else, last words about how you think you can be part of the contribution to each other in that community of practice? Pardon me. Yeah.
I think
Yes,
for
Sandy, go
me,
ahead.
I think for me, sometimes just being busy in my new role and with being tax season and our tax program and different things, I sometimes forget that this group is here. And so I need to keep it on my forefront to think when we're talking about intergenerational activities for even myself, just as a reminder to go on there and reach out to the community of practice. Rather than, again, trying to do it in isolation. So I just need to get better on connecting with the group and reaching to people who have been doing it or have activities or skills, the teachers, there's so many people that are on here with different skills and abilities that it's a great resource even just to connect and say, hey, we're looking at doing something for elder abuse awareness. What are some ideas that you guys have? So that's something that I think I need to contribute more to, and that if there's other people are looking for things, that I can maybe contribute some of the things that Innisfail has been doing as well. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Sandy. Really appreciate that. And really appreciate the little conversation we've been able to have together here, where we've taken quite a few ideas from you. And we will we'll be advancing those. And for heaven's sakes, please don't hesitate to be in touch with each other or us about some things we can do for the future. We want to keep the momentum going and build it as well. So thank you very much. I am going to move us along because we have been joined by Becca Barrington, who's our next presenter. And Becca is the Associate Director of Jerry Actors Theatre in Edmonton. This is sounding pretty exciting, I think. And Jerry Actors is an intergenerational theatre company in Edmonton. Their performers range in age from early 20s to 90. They write their own plays based on true stories that focus on aging rather than age and celebrate commonalities. Becca is the Associate Director of Jerry Actors. She started with them in 2010 as a student volunteer and never left. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Drama from the University of Alberta, and at Jerry Actors manages the day-to-day operations, outreach workshops, and helps to produce and direct their plays and performances. So it's a real pleasure to have you with us here today, Becca. I'm excited to hear what you have to say, and we'll turn it over to you.
Sure, thank you so much. Can everyone see me and hear me?
I think so.
Oh, perfect. So I wanted to thank everyone for inviting us here today to share. Jerry Actors, as mentioned, is an intergenerational theater company. And when COVID-19 hit last year, we really didn't even know what Zoom was at the time, but we decided to postpone our in-person meetings and we moved everything virtually. So we had to figure out how Zoom worked. We had to figure out how to connect with each other online. And what we started to do was that we would just meet with everyone. So we would gather together in a rehearsal format and just share stories. Our goal at the time was to just bring people together. If we could bring everyone online once a week to share stories, to connect, then we were being successful. And what we started to do was take the stories that we were sharing and we started to write them down as we would if we were meeting in person. And we created 2 plays in the summer. And we then had this crazy idea to record them. So over Zoom, you can record your meetings. So we recorded the stories and the plays, and then we edited them ourselves. And we didn't necessarily think it would work having our stories that we normally perform in person with props and costumes and an audience. But it did. It came to life on just over the audio. People loved hearing the stories. So we shared them over the phone. We connected with Senior Centers Without Walls program here in Edmonton. And then we shared them over Zoom as well. And it was very exciting that we were able to connect with family and friends that might normally not be able to attend an in-person performance. We had family join us from Trinidad, from the UK, from BC, and just hear our stories. And so what we did in the fall was we reconnected, as we always do, with our student volunteers. They always join us from the University of Alberta, and they joined us over Zoom. So they brought in different theater games, different story ideas, different prompts, different exercises. And we learned through collaborating with them how to bring the rehearsal process and this collaborative writing and this collaborative story sharing to life when all of us are just sitting in our homes and working on our computers. And so now what we're doing with collaborating with those student volunteers is we've created a new play, and we're recording it as a radio play. So we're working alongside students from NATE. We're going to be adding sound effects and music and other things to bring the stories to life and to enhance it. And what we found is that we're sort of bringing together new technology with older ways of listening to stories and to plays. Because radio plays, all of our members remember listening to them growing up. All of our members remember tuning in to listen to an episode of a news story. And so we're bringing those together, and then we're going to perform radio plays in the spring. And I think that's, I know I only had about 5 minutes to share, so that's about my time. And then I wanted to leave a little bit of time for questions and other discussion as well.
Well, thank you, Becca. I think we're all feeling guilty that we didn't give you a little bit longer time to share. So absolutely, if you want to say a wee bit more, and I want to open the floor to questions too, so it will give you a chance maybe to elaborate a bit as well. I have, Amber, did you want to comment? You've said that it's so cool. I love how you've pivoted with the pandemic. So want to ask Becca a bit more about that, Amber?
Yeah, so Shantel asked, how can people view our plays, especially the upcoming radio plays? So there's two, we're looking at two different ways, which is going to be chaos, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be chaos in the back end, so no one else will see the chaos except for me. We're going to perform live over Zoom, so you're going to be able to go to our website, get a ticket which would give you a Zoom link, and then join the Zoom performance. And so our performers will be live on the screen just like we are now, sharing the stories. And then we're going to have a combination of music, sound effects. We're going to have photos and videos as well to bring it to life. So that's one way that you can view the plays. And then the radio plays themselves are going to be recorded as audio, and they're going to be available to listen over the phone if you want, through a phone-based program, or just at home if you want. So you can access them through our website and then listen to them at home on your own time.
That's great. Jane, you have your hand up. Over to you.
My hand down. I just forgot to take my hand down.
Oh, did you? Oh, I thought you had a question. Okay, no problem. Both Amber and Shantel are wondering about hearing a bit more around key learnings you found when you shifted the program online.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway was that when we gather in a space, when you're gathering in person, you're able to feed off everyone's energy. You're able to generate joy and collaboration and curiosity and excitement just by being in the room. And oftentimes the plays that we're developing aren't even from stories that are just told in the exercises. Sometimes they're stories that are told around the snack table at break, and leaving rehearsals and coming to rehearsals. And so all of that community was lost when we initially moved online. And we had to sort of pivot and figure out ways to bring energy, to bring excitement, to bring new challenges to the rehearsal. So one of the ways we did that was by bringing just little theater exercises that could be adapted. So by figuring out how to improv solo in our homes. So one game that we play is about molding an imaginary object and creating, this is my steering wheel, and then passing it through the screen to someone else who creates maybe their notebook for writing a story. And then bringing in more storytelling prompts. So rather than working in person and having that ability to collaborate and share ideas through movement and in-person work, bring in more storytelling ideas. Tell us a story about a place you loved. Tell us a story about a favorite journey you took once, or a story of a game you played as a child. And then really focusing on telling stories and expanding on those moments. I would say those are the two strategies that we found with bringing community and energy back into this online screen world that we all seem to be living on now.
Oh, that's fabulous. Fabulous. Amber's saying so creative and inspirational. That's you've created a lot of energy here. This is wonderful. Charlene's wondering if you would mind before we close off here, if you would mind typing in your website address. But we certainly have time for one more question. Groups, anyone want to ask something? Oh, here's one. Do you have specific topics for the radio plays that will be offered?
Yeah, so the play that we're working on right now, it's called Way Back, and it's a collection of stories from way back to now. And it explores a variety of topics. This really is a collection. So we have one member is sharing a story about growing up in Holland during World War II, growing up on a farm there. And then another member is sharing a story about growing up in Harry Hill, Alberta, which was a very small town, and the many shenanigans they got up living on growing up in the farm. And then another one of our members grew up in Trinidad and carried water from a standpipe to their home. We have stories of motherhood and birth in this play. We have memories of different world events that have come up in our exploration. So we have, the JFK assassination, and we have the Berlin Wall, and what we remember and where we were in those great moments in history. So it really is a compilation of a variety of stories. It's about 45 minutes, I would say, in length. So if you join on the Zoom live performance, you'll see the whole play. And then with the audio plays, we're going to edit them into smaller episodes. So you'll be able to listen to maybe 8 minutes of a collection of stories in a variety of episodes as well. So you won't have to listen to 45 minutes at once. You can listen to smaller chunks.
So Becca, I'm wondering, do you have much of a challenge recruiting seniors for this?
No. I think our biggest challenge is that we're such a small group. Right now, Jerry Actors, the performance company, is full and has been for, I think, about 3 years now. And so as a small company, we're trying to figure out how we can allocate our resources in order to start other groups and have other workshops popping up to welcome people who are interested in getting involved. And so prior to COVID-19, we had started a Friday group that was meeting and getting to know one another and sharing stories. And we were recruiting new people to join, and then we've sort of put the outreach programs on hold for now. We're hoping to be able to get them back up in the next coming weeks, but yeah, it's about finding a way to start smaller groups and engage more people in the work. Well, we are a very small company, so we have limited resources, so we're working on allocating those resources as best we can to engage more people.
So when you say you're full, what's the capacity?
So our capacity is 15 for the performance company. So we have 15, and then we have every year we're joined by student volunteers. So that number varies, but it can be anywhere from 3. We had 3 join us this fall, and last fall we had 14. So when you get that huge group together, there's about 29 people in the room.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
It is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Becca. Boy, time is the enemy, and sometimes this has been fabulous. Thank you for putting your website there. This is another example of the kind of thing we can share on CORE. And please don't hesitate to be in touch with Becca or any other one of your colleagues and new partners in this collaborative effort on CORE. Just before we close, Cindy, were there any other quick comments about the CORE site itself that you'd like to add to what you already said?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to talk about CORE during our presentation today. And I quickly put Jerry Actor's information on CORE already, so it'll be up there for when people visit.
Oh, that's great. All right. Thank you, Cindy. And thank you again, Becca. That was really wonderful. We all enjoyed it very much. And thank you to all of you, our participants, like I said, our new partners, our new collaborators. And I feel like we're a family already. So want to thank you. We're going to take some of this information and put together what we're going to offer next. If you think of anything in the meantime that you would like to see us do or provide on your behalf, don't hesitate to let us know. And wishing you a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Julie. Good job.